Day after Judgment Day is finally here for us Terminator fans. Does it live up to the hype? What's going on, everyone? Welcome to our brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing the brand new film Terminator Dark Fate, which picks up more than 2 decades after the original Terminator film. And just as Sarah Connor rewrote history in that one, history has rewritten itself once again, and they must protect a young new girl from a new Terminator. Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton obviously reprises her role. Arnold's back as the T-800, and we have new characters that are gonna be pretty interesting in this one. If you guys are new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because I do tons of early movie reviews like this on a daily basis. Love talking geeky content with you guys, so make sure to comment down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this film. Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Are you guys excited for it? Let's discuss it, and make sure, again, hit that like and subscribe button because I will be doing a Terminator ranking this weekend. It'll be a little bit of fun. I want to get your guys' perspective on that. Talking in Dark Fate, I was a little bit nervous because I've wanted the Terminator franchise to get back to the original too. And while I'm in the camp of kind of liking all of them, I do understand that they're not the best. And in fact, they're kind of garbage, but at the same time, I kind of enjoy it just because I love the sci-fi elements of the Terminator franchise. And I do understand that they're not as good as the original two, but I was wanting Dark Fate to get back up there. And for me personally, I think Dark Fate actually corrected that into the right way. I don't want to sit here and say, yeah, it's the best Terminator film since T2, because it's not hard to do that. But I actually think this was the perfect way to kind of reboot this franchise while at the same time tying up the knots from the second one. And even if this might be the last Terminator film we ever get, I'll be fine with it. But even if it isn't, it leaves it open for a new adventure that could be possibly down the road, and I'm kind of all for what's going on. Really, the easiest way to talk about this film is going with my cons first, which I usually don't like to start with, but I don't have that many this time around. While I can get some people being very nitpicky, and I think if you're not a Terminator fan, this isn't going to be for you. Maybe it will reintroduce this franchise to some people and actually bring in new audience members. This is really a film for those original Terminator fans, and I think people who actually really get invested into this. Now, I'm not here to say that this is better than the original Terminator 2, because that's one of the best action films of all time. What I can say, though, with this is while I had some issues with it, which really bogged down to the script, I had some clear issues with that. There were some lines that were a little bit too cheesy. Some of the story choices are actually very predictable, and I sat there going I know where this is kind of gonna go. I'm having fun with it, but it's just very predictable. And in a sense, like I said, those lines are not the best, and you can kind of feel that definitely in the first 5 minutes of this film. The first 5 minutes of this film I thought was like the most choppy mess I've seen of an intro, and it actually had me very worried, and it took me a bit to get really into this film. Probably took me about 20-30 minutes to really find myself falling into this movie, but once it did, Tim Miller, the director, hit the pedal to the metal and totally just strode this film into what I wanted it to be. Fate brings about many great action sequences throughout the whole entire film's runtime, and there were some where I was really gripping the edge of my seat, kind of just going, oh my god! It felt like a theme park attraction as I'm sitting there listening and just watching everything gloriously go on. The way that Tim Miller smooths around the camera and the way that he has these action set pieces go about feel very intense and actually holler back to some of the other Terminator films, which this film actually borrows almost elements from every single other Terminator film, actually even tinkered them to be better. We'll probably even say that this is kind of like the Force Awakens for the Terminator franchise, and I can get the kind of conclusions to that. The story is kind of the same, and maybe that's why it falls into that predictable element, but I think the reason that this film worked so much for me was because of the characters in here. Yeah, Linda Hamilton is fantastic as Sarah Connor. We've already known that from the previous 2 films, but what she does in here actually works, and I think this is the thing that Terminator franchise has been missing, is her character, because she is truly the heart of this, if we're being completely honest in that factor. Always had Arnold be in almost every single Terminator film besides Salvation, and while he is fantastic, and I would actually say this is probably his best performance in a while, what he did with the T-800 in this one was actually kind of surprising, but I also like the direction that they took it in. It was one of the best written things in the film. All leads to the new characters in here, and the 2 big standouts for me was Mackenzie Davis and Natalia Reyes. Start with Mackenzie Davis. She is excellent. She's one of my favorite up-and-coming actresses working the last couple of years, but she takes this role as Grace into a whole new level. I loved what she did to this. She's not just a kick-ass or badass soldier, but she has so much gravitas to her and the way that she emphasizes her character. And I think she even goes above and beyond what the script was giving her, which again goes back to how I said the script was an issue, but I like what Mackenzie Davis did with it. She went above and beyond it, and that's what a great actress does. And talking about Natalia Reyes, who plays Dani Ramos, the girl that they are protecting, this origin story for her is so interesting, and the way that we see her character start all hollers back to the original Terminator and how it turns into Terminator 2. And I actually really like what they did with their character, the way they built it up, and the relationship that she forms between Grace and Lyndall Hamilton's character, Sarah Connor. Those two's chemistry with one another is excellent, and the chemistry with all the girls in general are some of my favorite moments when they're getting the banter back and forth, when they're trying to understand. It's what really made me interested in this movie. We have to talk about Gabriel Luna's Rev 9, the brand new Terminator. I don't want to get into much of what this Terminator can do, but my flipping god, it was kind of horrifying, and it actually brought back that horror element that the first Terminator had, and I love what Gabriel Luna did with this role. He was so stern, he was so subtle, but the way that he brought this Terminator to life reminded me of the first time that I ever got to see Arnold as the Terminator in that first one. It was scary, it was intense, and that's what he brings to this, and the dynamics and the new mechanics that he used for the Terminator are pretty surprising and shocking, to the point where anytime something new is happening, I was really all in for it. I was like, what are they doing here? I think Tim Miller is a director. I think he did such a great job with Deadpool, and I think he does a really good job here. The action sequences are there, and they're really prevalent. You can see everything in here. They're not shaky. They're intense, and makes you feel like you're actually there with our characters. Also, giving a major shout out to Junkie XL, who actually got to infuse the original score of the Terminator franchise while also mixing in their own versions into this film. I thought the way that Tim Miller actually infused that score and took Junkie XL, and the way that they just collabed in this actually really worked for the film and brought that intensity to another level too. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on Terminator Dark Fate, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't miss out on that Terminator ranking this weekend. Hit that, guys. Comment down below. Go over to Sandwich on Films if you guys want to check out films early. Of course, thank you to you for clicking on this video, and thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. I expect myself to be in the minority on this one, because I don't know what it is, but I just had such an energetic blast of fun with this new Terminator film. And I can't even say this even further, is that I think any fan of Terminator will look no further. Terminator Dark Fate brings this franchise back into what I wanted from this. It fuses the best elements from every Terminator film and actually upgrades them to another level while injecting a much needed adrenaline shot. They said they'd be back, and they're back. The characters are great, and I love what they did with Sarah Connor in here, and of course Arnold's Terminator. There's a lot of interesting feedback in there, but it really is the new characters in here that bring the story to life. It comes down to Natalia Reyes and Mackenzie Davis. They are excellent standouts of this whole entire film, and Gabriel Luna is horrifyingly scary. The action is intense. It puts you into the scenario. The score is great. Oh yes, I do address that it does borrow a lot of elements from other Terminator films. It didn't bother me. Yes, some of the stories are the same. Whatever. I get it. It borrows elements from the first two Terminator films. And yes, I know some of the dialogue is not good, and I can 100% respect that. But for me, it worked, and I thought the actors and the performance in here all rose above what the script could have been. Yes, the script should have been better, 100%, and I will fully endorse that. It is very predictable, and at times, again, it did bother me. The beginning especially bothered me. But as the film kept going, I could not stop watching, and I cannot wait to rewatch this film. With all that said, I'm going to give Terminator Dark Fate a B+. What your guys' thoughts are on this film? Again, I'm probably going to be in that minority, but I'm hoping I'm not. I hope you guys enjoy this film as well. Let's discuss it down below in the comments, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching this, and of course, until next time, stay classy.